Will the committee please escort the governor forward?
Thank you. Gosh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank y'all. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Members of the General Assembly, it is my distinguished honor to present to you the 50th Governor of the great state of Tennessee, the Honorable Bill Lee.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Let me just say this before I start. I know that every governor does not get to work with a legislature like this one, and I am truly grateful. Thank you. Thank you. Lieutenant Governor McNally, Speaker Sexton, Speaker Pro Tem Hale, Speaker Pro Tem Marsh, members of the 114th General Assembly, justices of the Supreme Court, constitutional officers, cabinet, staff, my family, our friends. It is an honor for me to be here in this chamber with you tonight as we mark our 7th year of working together for the volunteer state and her people. I especially want to thank the one person who has given so much of her life into this endeavor, has made my life complete, walked this road beside me every step of the way, loving me and loving Tennessee. Thank you, First Lady Maria Lee. I also want to take a minute to extend a welcome to the newest members of the General Assembly. You have joined a remarkable group of citizen legislators who are committed to doing what's right by the people of Tennessee. We have together had an exciting and productive start this year already with a pivotal special session But before we get into what's next for our state, I'd like to take a moment just to applaud you all. Government is usually seen as a bureaucratic mess. But this General Assembly proved everyone wrong and showed what happens when we move not at government pace, but at real world pace. East Tennesseans continue to face an unprecedented disaster, damages to the tune of $1.2 billion. And our initial response at the state was immediate and substantial. State agencies have been on the ground for months, helping with recovery efforts. But still, there's a long road ahead. Hurricane Helene was a disaster that requires innovative solutions to ensure full recovery, and that's exactly what was accomplished in this special session just a week ago. This General Assembly, representing the entire state, stepped up to support East Tennesseans in their greatest time of need, and I thank you for that. I spent a lot of days in Upper East following the disaster, and I was struck by the people's response, the churches, the nonprofits, everyday Tennesseans, and also by the local leaders and their passion and their resilience and the love they have for their communities. Tonight, we are joined with 4 county mayors from some of the hardest hit areas. Patty Woodby of Carter County, Kevin Morrison of Greene County, Larry Potter of Johnson County, and Joe Grandy of Washington County. Mayors, will you please stand and let us thank you. Also, the American people have spoken loud and clear that they want secure borders and they want dangerous criminals removed from our communities. So last week, this General Assembly demonstrated a continued commitment to combating the problems of illegal immigration, and we will once again make significant investments in local crime prevention grants in the upcoming budget to keep Tennesseans safe. Both local and federal governments will need a partner, and the volunteer state is ready for that. And third, in that special session, we innovated our approach to education with new creative investments in public school facilities, and we have finally brought universal school choice to Tennessee families. Thank you. These pressing issues couldn't wait, and yet we still have a lot of work to do in the session before us. We stand in the arena at a pivotal time for our state and for our country. A new administration in Washington has created new optimism across America and a new partnership for Tennessee. In last year's State of the State, I said 2024 was the year to hold our places on the wall, to fortify and build upon our state's previous successes. 2025 should be the year to think bigger and to think boldly about what is possible and to go there. If Tennessee has led the nation as a beacon of opportunity and security and freedom, then why can't we be the nation's capital of innovation too? Somebody is going to determine what the future looks like, and that should be Tennessee. It is true that solving incredibly complex problems requires courage to embrace extraordinary approaches. When I was studying to be an engineer, I took an entire course on Albert Einstein's theories of relativity. And in that course, I learned that Einstein not only redefined science, but he redefined the very way we look at the universe. He taught us that space and time, which were once thought to be fixed, are actually interconnected and dynamic. They're relative to one another. Einstein's legacy isn't as much about discovery as it is about challenging conventional thinking and proving it wrong. It's something I've never forgotten, and it's a lesson that we need now more than ever before, because the challenges that we face now, from energy to infrastructure and housing, childcare, they cannot be solved with conventional thinking. Just as Einstein challenged the accepted theories of his time, we too must be willing to rethink and reimagine and embrace bold ideas. God has favored our state for sure. And one of the things that has helped Tennessee lead the nation is our willingness to take on complex problems and to try things that have never been done before. A great example has been your work on transportation. Safe, reliable roads, it's a primary responsibility of state government, but there are limited funds to fulfill an unlimited need. So 2 years ago, we began addressing this complex problem by passing the Transportation Modernization Act to finally innovate how we build our roads. And we will not stop there. This year, we will propose in our budget $1 billion to TDOT to build and maintain roads and bridges all across Tennessee. Perhaps the most innovative approach that this General Assembly has taken in my time as governor, 4 years ago, you asked my administration to pursue a block grant for Medicaid. Today, we're still the only state in the country that has a shared savings agreement with the federal government. Because Tennessee was willing to challenge the status quo, we have saved $1 billion in Medicaid costs to date. And that has enabled us to invest more in mothers, in infants, in mental health, in rural health, and we'll continue to reinvest those savings into our Medicaid population to make sure that we improve the health and well-being of the people that we serve. Those are things we've done, but it's not enough to have just led the nation in the past. We have to be willing to be bold and lead America into her future. Often you'll hear business leaders borrow the line from hockey that says we ought to skate to where the puck is going, not where it is. But rethinking and reimagining doesn't mean that we have to compromise our values. So as we innovate, we can stay true to our deeply held values. And remember that innovation doesn't change tradition, it strengthens it. We have a great Tennessean with us tonight, one who has taught us a lot about the connection between innovation and tradition. He served our state as governor, the president of the University of Tennessee, as U.S. Secretary of Education, and as a United States Senator. But a common thread throughout his service was a passion for conservation. In fact, he was the author of the Great Outdoors Act, which helped preserve our national park system. This year, we are incredibly proud to support the creation of the Alexander Institute for Environmental Education and the Sciences, which will serve as a base camp for environmental learning, perfectly situated along the main road on the way to the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. Tonight it is my honor to welcome a great son of Tennessee, a true statesman, our Senator, Secretary, Governor, Lamar Alexander. From the Delta to Appalachia, Tennessee is blessed with natural abundance that we have to protect and preserve for future generations. Yet we also continue to be one of the fastest growing states in the country, in rural and urban areas alike. So how do we balance record growth with a plan to protect our natural resources? You start by rejecting conventional wisdom that says that you cannot do both. To grow Tennessee, we have to conserve Tennessee. Our state is home to the most biologically diverse freshwater river in all of North America. The Duck River is a scenic natural treasure. It's also the sole water source for more than 250,000 Tennesseans who live in one of the fastest growing regions in the country. And that presents a complex problem. And that is why I signed an executive order in November to preserve the duck, and why our budget will propose $100 million to create a regional water supply strategy that will solve this problem once and for all. Another blessing that holds a challenge, farm families in our state. They keep food on our tables, they drive our economy. However, our state is losing 10 acres of farmland per hour, which is a staggering number when agriculture is the #1 driver of our economy. That's why we are, again, proposing a grant program for farmers who voluntarily preserve and protect their land for future generations. It's time that we support Tennessee farmers by finally passing the Farmland Conservation Act. It is time that we support family farms like Noble Springs Farm in rural Tennessee, owned by first-generation dairy farmers Dustin and Justine Noble. Together, they source food for their local community to make a living and to help drive our economy, all while teaching their children the value of agribusiness. Our strategy in the Farmland Conservation Bill will ensure farms just like theirs can be preserved well into the future. Please join me in welcoming a great Tennessee farming family, the Noble family. Our greatest challenges do provide the environment for our greatest innovations. The volunteer state is on track to be the epicenter of energy innovation, and it couldn't happen at a more crucial time. For the past few years, Washington has prioritized social agenda over practical energy policy, and as a result, we are staring down the barrel of an energy crisis with an electrical grid that is on the fragile verge of being completely overwhelmed. President Trump warned Americans in his inaugural address just 3 weeks ago, and Tennessee is not immune to this. So Tennessee's ambition to lead in nuclear innovation is much bigger than just competing with other states. This is about securing the future of America. The Nuclear Energy Fund that I proposed and you created 2 years ago has grabbed the attention of America's most cutting-edge energy companies. Now, East Tennessee is home to global industry leaders like Kairos, X-Energy, Orano, which, by the way, is seeking to make the single largest investment in Tennessee history, and more companies are on the way. That's why this year we're proposing an additional $10 million investment in this nuclear energy fund so Tennessee remains at the head of the pack. But we have to go further. Tennessee is home to one of the only federally approved undeveloped nuclear sites in the country. And a few weeks ago, TVA applied for an $800 million federal grant for the development of the Clinch River site. Our proposed budget includes $50 million to demonstrate the state's commitment to this project. We've now laid the groundwork. We have a willing partner in the White House. Now is the time to develop the Clinch River site and build the first small modular reactor in the nation on Tennessee soil. Now, you might ask, why does nuclear energy really matter to working families? Economic development stops. Job creation stops if we don't have energy. I meet with companies all the time from all across the country and from all across the world that are looking to move to the Southeast. And their decision hinges on two things. Do you have the energy? Do you have the workers? I've been saying for years the state with the workers will win every time. And that is even more true today. Together, over the last 6 years, we have recruited more than $40 billion in capital investment into this state, which has resulted in almost 250,000 jobs. Tennessee is a top contributor to our nation's economy because of our willingness to adapt and welcome these emerging industries, startups, new technology, research and development. They're all pieces to a larger puzzle that will diversify our economy, which will bring even better jobs to Tennessee families and ensure that Tennessee remains a leader in the Southeast. That's why this year we'll dedicate $80 million for strategic ECD grants, signaling that Tennessee is the new frontier for America's greatest innovators. While we do have one of the strongest economies in the United States, Tennessee's labor force participation rate continues to be one of our greatest and most stubborn challenges. We've built the workforce pipeline, but how do we innovate to fill that pipeline? Most of you heard me talk about my experiences in rural Tennessee, meeting kids who have a unique ability to connect their brains to their hands, making them gifted in skilled trades. And together, we have worked really hard to connect these young Tennesseans to the workforce by clearing TCAT waiting lists and expanding vocational and technical and agricultural courses in all 95 counties. But still, financial barriers exist for so many. Our current system covers the cost of TCAT tuition for most students, but some are still left out. We also know that a lot of these courses require expensive tools and books and equipment, costs that deter many from enrolling. These gaps keep thousands of Tennesseans back from the opportunity to reach their full potential. So tonight I'm proposing the Tennessee Works Scholarship, a new award that will cover every penny of TCAT tuition and fees for all students. And it will finally relieve the extra cost burden of tools and equipment for those most in need. We are sending the message that TCATs are open, they're available, and free to any Tennessean who wants to skill up and enter our best in the nation workforce. To truly innovate our workforce, we have to start early. Last year, we created a new model, the Tennessee Youth Employment Program. Thanks to Commissioner Thomas and her team, in just 1 year, this strategic partnership has connected over 4,500 young Tennesseans to local employers, giving them real work experience that will open doors and strengthen our workforce all at the same time. The Youth Employment Program has been such a huge success that it's time to take it to the next level. So this year, we're expanding the program. Standing leadership and his dedication resulted in a full-time job after the program, where he is now thriving in his craft. And then if you look to rural Tennessee, Mallory Hardison got a summer job in the Marshall County Mayor's office. She made such a strong impression that her supervisors hired her after the Youth Employment Program ended. These two students are perfect examples of why we need to expand this program. They come from very different communities, and yet they are a whole lot alike in the opportunity that lies before them. They're also both here. Please join me in welcoming Corday Guy and Mallory Hardison. For families to grow and remain in the workforce at the same time. If we really want to create an environment for families to thrive, we have to find insurmountable costs for the vast majority of moms and dads who want to be in the workforce. But what we should not do is start a new government program to solve the child care problem. We need to empower tried and true community partners who know what they're doing and who are already making a difference. That's why this year we're proposing an additional $11 million investment in one of our premier child care providers, Boys and Girls Club, to serve 7,500 low-income kids across Tennessee, and hopefully more to come. An innovation, it doesn't have to be something brand new. It can be leaning into a strategy that's already working. So this year we will propose a better approach to the Smart Steps Child Care Program by easing the benefits cliff, covering more middle and low-income working families. And to reduce turnover in the workforce, we'll provide more child care workers with more pay by expanding eligibility in Tennessee's existing wages program, allowing for more daycare spots and greater access for families in need. All of this, plus our work to streamline child care facility licensing and permitting, will lead to tens of thousands of new daycare spots all across rural and urban Tennessee, and in turn, create one of the most family-friendly workforces in the nation. Just like childcare, every growing community across the country is wrestling with how to make housing more accessible and more affordable. As I've said, our greatest blessings are often tethered to our greatest challenges. It's a blessing that people all over America want to move to Tennessee. You all has once again ranked Tennessee among the top 5 most moved to states in the country. 90 of our 95 counties are experiencing population growth. And while all that's a point of pride, it's also a call to action. Whether you're born in Tennessee or you choose to move to Tennessee, we want you to stay in Tennessee. And the housing market has dramatically changed in this state, certainly since I bought my first home, which was a long time ago. But just in the last 4 years, inflation has driven in the nation for the loss of starter homes. Our state needs a housing plan that makes this key part of the American dream possible. So first, we're proposing a $60 million starter home revolving loan fund. This self-sustaining program will provide 0% interest construction loans for the building of a new single-family home. Second, we're funding the Rural and Workforce Housing Tax Credit. This will make sure that every dollar we spend on affordable housing goes further and reaches more of the people with the greatest need. These are important steps, and yet together we have to continue looking for more solutions that are fiscally responsible to finally address the issue of housing through innovation and not through regulation. In fact, innovation over regulation is something Tennessee's gotten pretty good at. I've often said Washington could learn a thing or two from the way that we approach budgeting in this state. The truth is that most young Americans have never known a day where their federal government lived within its means. Now, that could government efficiency is finally aligning with Tennessee's commitment to government, fiscal responsibility, individual liberty. There's no greater example of this commitment than this bipartisan approach to. You all know the first priority of our budget is to ensure that the state can withstand economic crisis. And that's why we will once again make a significant investment into the state's rainy day fund and bring the total to nearly $2.2 billion. I spoke of limited government. Limited government is knowing how to do more with less. More bureaucracy does not mean better service. Businesses know this. Government should do the same. So this year, we're bringing multiple proposals to streamline state boards, to simplify licensing practices, to save local government millions in administrative fees. All of this will save taxpayer dollars and better serve Tennesseans. And when I took office, I made a commitment to smaller government, to efficiency, to shrinking the state government, all the while raising our standard of service to Tennesseans. Our state is growing rapidly. Our revenues have increased by almost 50% since 2019 when I came into office. But I'm proud to report that today we are serving more Tennesseans than ever before with fewer positions in state government than when I took office 6 years ago. We started tonight talking about our commitment to education, the future for Tennessee students and teachers is very bright. This year, we will dedicate more than $580 million more to public education, which includes a major investment in the TISA formula and another pay raise for Tennessee teachers. This brings our This will bring our administration's public school investments to a total of $2.5 billion so far, and this work will not stop. And this budget confirms what I've said all along. Tennessee will strive to have the best public schools in the nation and give parents choices in their child's education, both at the same time. But that's not all. Sometimes the most innovative solution is the obvious one. For example, why not allow an expert welder to teach a welding class? So our proposed limited occupational teaching license will make it possible for experienced tradesmen and women to teach their craft without having to jump through all the hoops of extra coursework. With this, we can actually address teacher shortages and give students real-world experience at the same time. As I said earlier, innovation does not change tradition, it strengthens it. And one way that we strengthen tradition is by teaching civics and American exceptionalism. 3 years ago, we established the Institute of American Civics at the University of Tennessee to serve as a beacon and to teach the value of a civic-minded people. This year, I'm proposing funding to expand the Institute's reach and make sure that Tennessee children from kindergarten to 12th grade learn about the founding principles that make America the greatest country on earth. Just like a business innovates to better serve their customers, or science innovates to save lives, or an athlete innovates to change the game, this is a time for us to innovate, to create a brighter future for Tennesseans. I believe the best way to honor our state's storied history is new waters and to lead the next era of American innovation. When I was in elementary school, one of my textbooks predicted that I have the capability to make a phone call and not just hear the person on the other line, but see that person. I can even remember the illustration of the lady with a phone and a big box TV and a face on it. And I was in the 3rd grade, and I remember looking at that illustration and thinking, not in my lifetime. A couple months ago, Maria and I had the opportunity to meet virtually with an astronaut from Tennessee, Butch Wilmore, who is living on the International Space Station. And by the way, we pray for his swift return home. But as we talked to Butch, he flipped his camera to show us his breathtaking bird's eye view of Earth at sunrise. all on a phone call in my lifetime. Our state's next great achievements will come from those who dare to question, who dare to innovate, to see the world not as it is, but as it could be. We know what it takes to be better. And as Einstein also said, those who have the privilege to know have the duty to act. May each of us respond to that duty together of the great state of Tennessee.